Yo guys, what is up? 33 to 30 RPM here, back today to talk about a classic rock album. To whoever requested it, this is for you. Today we're talking about London Calling by The Clash. So I'm just going to come out and say that I'm not a huge Clash fan. I'm a big fan of a lot of their really popular singles, which I was introduced to as a little kid by playing Rock Band. Stuff like Should I Stay or Should I Go and Rock the Casbah are two great songs off Combat Rock, and that's a pretty solid album in general. The reason I don't have that is because I'm actually looking for an original pressing. And while this isn't an original pressing of London Calling, it was actually repressed in 2013 from the 1979 original pressing. It's still a great repress with 180 gram vinyls and some really cool inner sleeves. It's a solid repress. It's worth the money. And this is just a classic album in general. I mean, this is, I'd say, one of the most iconic covers of all time in rock music right there. Back here is pretty cool. It is a double album, which is awesome. 17 songs on here, even though 16 are only listed. We got London Calling, Brand New Cadillac, Jimmy Jazz, Hateful, Rudy Can't Fail, Spanish Bombs, The Right Profile, Lost in the Supermarket, Clampdown, The Guns of Brixton, Wrong and Boyo, Death or Glory, Coca-Cola, The Card Cheat, Lovers Rock, Four Horsemen, I'm Not Down, Revolution Rock, and then the last song on here, and my personal favorite, Train in Vain, which for some reason is not listed on here. It's actually on the label of side 4 on here. I'm not really sure why it's not on here. I don't think it's considered a secret track, considering it's a pretty popular one, but it's definitely the highlight of this album for me. So, let's talk about this. Let's get straight into this album. This album is just iconic from the second it starts off with London Calling, the song that everybody's heard a billion times on every alternative rock and throwback radio station ever. I don't really need to talk about this song because you know it. I Live by the River. It's a good song. It's a great song, in fact. And it's definitely a highlight on this album. I just heard it so many times that to this point it's kind of like, it's London Calling. One thing I really do like that The Clash do here is that they really shift the tone of the album as we progress through. Groups of songs will either be more fast-paced or kind of slower songs. So side A on here, which is the first 5, going from London Calling to Rudy Can't Fail, are all really peppy, up-tuned songs. And that's not to say there are any ballads per se on here, but there are definitely songs that I'll talk about later that are kind of more down-tempo and laid back, which I actually like because it brings in some different styles to The Clash's already punk rock sound. Other notable songs here on side 1 are Jimmy Jazz, which is where The Clash bring in for the first time on this album horns and a big band sound, which is awesome to punctuate the choruses. For the next verse, they have whether it be a trumpet solo or a saxophone solo, and it sounds really cool. They do it a couple times on here, I believe 4 or 5 times in the course of the album, and those are actually some of the best songs, I think, for me. Stuff like Jimmy Jazz, The Right Profile, Wrong and Boyo, and of course Train in Vain. All of that stuff is some of the best songs I think on here, just because of the differentiation between the rest of the songs on this album. As someone who listened to a fair bit of punk, not now, but I used to, a lot of the songs start to sound the same after a while, especially with that traditional three power chords or whatever. But you know, this album really does a cool job by putting these horns and mixing the tone up. Another cool thing on here is track 5, Rudy Can't Fail, which actually brings in sort of a reggae influence, which sounds a little weird pairing with punk, but it works surprisingly well, and it transitions nicely into side B, which starts off with some more down-tempo songs until we get to Clampdown, which is just bombs away. The first 2 songs on here I really do like on side B, that it's Spanish Bombs, The Right Profile, and Lost in the Supermarket. They all feel more laid back and provide a nice rest from the 5 heavy-hitting songs in the first side of this album, but still are memorable and very catchy. Whether it be just the over and over repetitiveness of Spanish Bombs in Andalusia, or the punctuating jazz things in the, jazz sections in The Right Profile, or just the weirdness of Lost in the Supermarket, about being lost in the supermarket and now you can't shop in peace. These are 3 really great songs. And then we get into Clampdown, which once again brings back this heavy Clash rock sound that we all know and love. If you're a fan of The Clash, you know what I'm talking about. This is just it's a classic song. And then we get to The Guns of Brixton, which I'm not going to lie, isn't a bad song, but it kind of feels like a letdown after Clampdown for me. it's very monotone the way they sing it. I don't feel like it really does anything new for this album. It's not one of my favorite songs in here. Maybe the ones that I actually take out. I get to side 3 here, starting off with the song Wrong'em Boyo, which is one of my favorite songs in here. Once again, it's got that horn section to punctuate those guitars, and it's a really cool song. I think it does have the best solos, the best horn solos on here, and a really catchy chorus. Speaking of catchy choruses, the next song on side 3 here, Death or Glory, Just Another Story. That's the repeating phrases that they do in the chorus. Very, very catchy. And then we go into the 1 minute and 37 second jam, Coca-Cola, actually spelled with K's instead of C's. This is a cool jam. Really, the most punk the Clash will ever get on this album, especially it being 1 minute and 30 seconds long. It's an awesome jam. And then we get to the Card Cheat, which once again feels kind of like a letdown after the awesomeness of Coca-Cola. Not a bad song. I like this even more than the Guns of Brixton, just not like my favorite song. And then side 4, Revolution Rock, which is the last track on there, is pretty cool. Lovers Rock is cool too. Four Horsemen is an okay song, and I'm not down with that. It's just an song to me. Train in Vain is the last song on here and really seals the deal. I think this is the coolest ending to this album. It's one of the songs you just want to get up and dance to. It's jazzy, it's upbeat, the guitars are a little bit funky even on here. It's a really good song. My favorite on this album, Train in Vain. So, let's just get into the packaging and see what we got. Mine is actually a little damaged. You can see in the corner here, it's kind of like messed up. And the spine there is a little messed up, so I don't know what happened, but that's just where the cookie crumbles sometimes. There's the front. The back here, we got 2 cool pictures. You got a list of everybody in the band and what they do and the songs. And like I said, you'll notice on side 4 that Train in Vain isn't listed, which is a little weird for me. This album was originally released in 1979, but it was repressed in 2013. So if you're buying a new edition, this is what you can expect to get. We got, yes, this is side A. Tiny pictures of the band, from this one concert, I believe, which each song on here with lyrics, which is pretty cool. There's the back there. And unlike caption on the bottom, and it's actually easy to follow these lyrics, and they're legible. Honestly, these labels are kind of plain, but you know what? It's not about the labels, it's about the music. Just that plain white and black scheme. The Clash, London Calling. Pressed, of course, on Epic Records. Honestly, I don't think I have anything else from Epic. I'll have to go back through my some of my older ones and look. I got that. And then, once again, same style. This is side C. And side D, which for some reason does not include Train in Vain. This makes me mad. Train in Vain is like the best song on here. Got side 3. Hope you can see that. Yep. And side 4. And there's Train in Vain, finally. The bottom there. Right under Revolution Rock. So, overall, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about this album. This is definitely a classic punk rock album, and just if you're a fan of music, especially classic rock, you need to own this album. I don't think that really goes like without saying. I'm pretty sure everybody and their grandmother has heard London Calling or likes this album or something, but this is definitely a classic in my eyes. And if it wasn't for some of those like songs like the Guns of Brixton and the Card Cheat, then this would be a perfect score for me. But because of those 2 lackluster songs, even though this is a big album, 17 songs already, I'm just going to bump this down to a 9.5 out of 10. Keep it there. Big recommendation for everybody who hasn't heard this. Are you Patrick Starr? Do you live under a rock? Go listen to this album. It's classic. It's fantastic. So yeah, guys, that's it. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you're a Clash fan, I know a couple of you are out there because you kept commenting for me to review a Clash album. Here you go. Drop me a comment telling me what you thought of the review, your favorite songs on here. Why isn't Train in Vain listed on the back? Please fill me in. I have no clue. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching. I'm 33 1/3 RPM, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Keep on spinning.